welcome to Havering Means Business Does Lunch. As usual, I've got what the name of the sort of meeting was there. As usual, I'm your host, Chris Dames. We've got a packed waiting room that we're gonna let in. Raj, do you want to let everybody in? And I'll go to whoever comes on first, as per usual. Let's see who comes on first. It's always a bit of a lottery. It's Ian with a brand new, like, sort of floaty background effect going on. Ian, how are you?
I'm drying out, Chris.
Yeah, I know, mate. I know it's not wet. It's not hot out there anymore, is it? I mean, I'm sure that with Sam and Carol on, we'll have a bit of run chat later. But I can't get used to the fact that I'm dry 1 minute, but too hot, and then soaking wet the next. I mean, I just can't get that right.
This is it. When you're too hot, you're sweating, so you're still wet. So can't win, can you?
No, exactly. All I want to do is be dry, Ian. That's all I want.
Absolutely.
How's your week been, mate? Good. We've had great news at Chelmsford Business Partnerships. We've just got our 50th paid up member this week. Oh, cool. Good stuff. That's a really good result.
Yeah, so we're really pleased about that. And we've got some face-to-face events starting soon as well. So we're hoping to capture more as well. Yeah, we're going to start as from September. So yeah, we're just in the final stages of making plans on that. So yeah, it's all exciting times, seeing people face to face again. I know.
And then the last thing, because we always have like an icebreaker question, and I couldn't think of one today, so I'm going to use one that I'm going to use for the podcast next week. What's the thing that annoys you that you know doesn't matter, but it just annoys you a lot?
Odd. I think I do apologise because I know this is kind of business related and it shouldn't be. But I really hate getting these phone calls that say you've been in an accident or you're a member of such and such and Sky or Talk or whatever. They really annoy me. So
cold calls is what you're saying is, yeah. You know what? I had a call at the office yesterday, and it was clear I didn't know this person because they gave the name and their business, and they were so friendly. Herb almost put them through, and that just like clearly I need to get the Cassie's shaking her head. That never would have got through you, Cass, would it? That never would have got through you. But yeah, you need a good gatekeeper, Ian. That's what you know.
You do.
Sam, how are you?
I'm really good, thank you. Afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon. How's your week been, number one, and how are you finding getting out and running? Has it been all right?
I've got to be honest, I haven't run this week.
I don't blame you.
Only because I got to go paddleboarding for my birthday, and who didn't listen to the instructor who said, don't go too close to shore. Decided to try and stand on the board a bit too close to shore. My foot got wedged between two rocks as I did a very dramatic fall in. So yeah, I've got a puffy ankle from paddleboarding.
And how long have you got raised it up, have they said?
I went to London yesterday and did 17,000 steps. So, you know, this can't be that bad.
Job done then, is what you're saying.
Still puffy, but it's fine. It's fine.
Actually, your husband's been emailing me his wins of the week, and it is paddleboard related. So
yeah, I heard.
I know that you messaged me when Steve's on, so I'm going to have to return the favour, aren't I?
Yeah, definitely.
And as our icebreaker question, what's that little thing that annoys you that doesn't seem to annoy anybody else?
Doesn't annoy anyone else.
Yeah, it's just like a bugbear that you've got that you think, you know what, this is just a pain.
The remote control not going back near the TV.
Okay. You won't like it now, Sam.
Don't understand. Even in my friends' houses, I will pick the remote control up and move it.
Have you got one of those little pockets that you put it in?
No.
Oh no, but it's got to go near the telly.
Got to be near the telly.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That's good. I've just downloaded the app, so I can now control my telly from my mobile phone. It's amazing. It's really good. Why are you shaking your head, Cassie? What's good? Right. Moving on then. Thanks, Sam. Really appreciate that. We'll talk business in a little while. Andrew, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, not so bad, Chris. Keeping my head above water, literally.
Yeah. It's damp. We can all agree it's a little bit damp out there. How's your week been?
It's not been too bad. It's still so can't really moan. My residential property team can't wait for the 30th of June to come.
Well,
so they stop people ringing them up and saying, if we reserve a property now, can we complete by then?
Yeah, not going to happen, is it?
No.
It's interesting though, isn't it? Because I'd imagine you've got, and we'll talk a bit more about work and business later on. I'd imagine there's a massive pipeline of people who started a couple of months ago and are looking to complete sort of before that stage.
Yeah.
How's that process going for you?
Sorry?
How's that working? How are you getting through that pipeline? Because it's the pressure's on, isn't it?
With difficulty. And the problem with conveyancing is you can only ever move as quickly as the slowest link in the chain.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
You can be sat there ready, but you can't do anything because either somebody below or somebody above you in the chain isn't ready.
Yeah. And
So
it's a bit of a waiting game, isn't it?
It is, but I mean, there's still people who haven't exchanged yet who are hoping to complete by the 30th of June, but one of the problems is getting removal people because they're all booked up.
Everybody's in the same boat, aren't they?
And the ones that there are charging at least double what they would normally charge. I've had one person quoted over £4,000 for removals.
Yeah, that's an expensive van. You could buy a van yourself for that, Andrew.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, yeah, you probably could.
And what's your big bugbear, mate? What thing annoys you that, like, you know is trivial, but you know it just frustrates you anyway?
I live in just off junction 25 of the M25 in Hertfordshire.
Yeah.
And they're doing some junction improvement works. And despite the fact that the lanes that you're supposed to be in are quite clearly marked, there's always idiots that can't get in the right lane and then try and cut in at the last minute. I know it's really petty, and I've got about another 15 months of it to go. So hopefully my blood pressure will calm down by then. But it just irritates you that people can't read road signs.
Yeah, and I do apologise for that, Andrew, because I've probably been guilty of that in the past. So sorry about that, mate. All right, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Carol, should we start with what run talk? Should we start with wins of the week? Should we just? I'll leave it down to you. What would you like to start with?
Don't mention wins of the week because believe me, I'm waiting.
Cool. Okay, good stuff. Let's start with run talk then. How's the running going?
Yes, I've started my half marathon training for Havering. And I've obviously been a few times, but yeah, yesterday was just that really muggy, weird weather, wasn't it? I was back and I was so hot and just, it wasn't even sunny and it was just weird. So
see yeah. At the start of the week, I had a really good run at the start of the week. So 12K, left it till about 8:30 to go out. And that sort of leaving at that time of the day was perfect because it was cool enough and everything was good. And I thought, if we have a week of this, I'm going to get some really good runs in. Not happened at all. So yeah, we'll hopefully improve. And how's your week been generally?
Yeah, really good. Work's really busy. Lots going on. So yeah, good. I'll talk a bit more about that after. But yeah, all good. Apart from now, obviously the rain, which I'm going to say is one of my things that annoys me. But it does matter because the post people aren't going to be able to go out, are they? So we're expecting a terrible week next week of people not have gotten their rounds done and everything. So that's a bit of a pain. But my non-related, work-related annoying thing is when I was running yesterday morning, I nearly got taken out by an electric scooter, so I can see why they're not allowed on the pavements. Because
Oh yeah, have they changed the rules about electric scooters recently as well, haven't they? They've said that they're allowed on London roads.
It's definitely against the law to ride them on the pavement now, or on the road, obviously, because you're not insured. But all I could think was, if I'd been literally 2 or 3 strides ahead, he would have taken me out, and then what happens then? When obviously I'm only delicate, so I would have been injured.
Yeah, I don't think I'd win a clash against an electric scooter either, to be honest. So yeah, it's weird because of Phil, who's not on the call, boot camp, I started running down the back roads, around Upminster and stuff like that. That's a bit dodgy as well, because you are sharing like a grass verge in the road with bikes and cars and everything else. So yeah, you've got to be a bit careful on that. So yeah, I get the electric scooter thing, certainly. Thanks, Carol, appreciate that. Who should we go for next? Julie Wedge, how are you?
Yeah, hello, I'm good. Hello. You all right?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. And my earpiece just fell out, sorry.
That's all right. Well, tell me about your week.
Yeah, had a good week, thank you. Yeah. Some bookings. Yeah, this week's going to be busy. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I lost you a little bit, but you're back now. And talk to me a little bit about your bugbear. What's the thing that annoys you?
I was going to say runners.
I don't blame you. You know what? Runner, they're always showing off about running, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? They can't stop banging on about running. It's annoying. All them selfies on Facebook where they're, oh God, it's on your nerves.
No, not really. My bugbear is people who leave their plates next to the dishwasher.
I'm in a lot of trouble today, Julie. I mean, not only am I a runner, I leave the remote control anywhere I like, and I leave my plate next to the dishwasher, don't I, Cass? Yes, a lot of trouble today. And thank you. Before I get into any more trouble, it's always you, Julie. I don't know what it is about when I don't know what's going on. Let's move on to Julie Bell. How's your week been, Julie?
Hi everyone. Yeah, it's been good. It's been absolutely good. We are preparing for 2 presentations, so thumbs up, we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, and we've got a webinar coming up with Mark as well. So Savello's doing a joint venture with the guys over at Action Coach that I'm really looking forward to. We've already started getting people sign up for that, so that's amazing news. Talk to me about your bugbear. What's the thing that annoys you?
People that don't indicate on a roundabout.
Now, I always do that, so I've got away with that one.
So
I've only annoyed about 4 people. Yeah, I always do that.
Oh my God, coming round the Alsip Cock roundabout, because you know you've got all the roadworks going on.
Yeah.
So you've got people that are coming from the right, and you think, oh, well, they're in, I don't know what the lanes are, but you think they're going right the way around. So I pull out, and then they change their mind and go down the same way as me. Yeah,
very annoying. Very annoying. Now, we one other non-work related thing, but related to the presentation today, is I know that there's an event coming up that I really think you should plug. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I'll do that at the end.
Of course you can. Yeah, we'll do it at the end. That's fine. We'll do that. Right, perfect. All right, great stuff. Sam, how are you? I'm giving it 5 seconds and then I'm going to have to say, oh no, right, okay, we're good.
There's 2 of us, so I was thinking it was the other one.
You know what? Sorry, Sam Strong, how are you?
I don't like to jump in there if it's someone else, so I thought, and I've logged in as Samantha today, so I assumed it would be the other Sam. I wasn't ignoring you.
100% on me, 100% on me. How are you?
I'm not bad, thank you. Like a lot of others by the sounds of it, I'm having a really busy week as well. And I seem to be affected by the hay fever because I can hear my voice. I sound like a bit like Marge Simpson today. is awful. It's just my voice is going like I smoke about 20 a day, which I don't smoke any, but that's what it sounds like. So that's quite annoying. But yeah, it's really busy. I've managed to complete on a couple of kind of clients that have been ongoing for a long time. So I feel a personal victory that I've managed to wrap those up. Yeah.
Yeah, getting a case done is a nice feeling, isn't it? You know, getting it to fruition to the end is always good. And I suppose the question that springs to mind is, Marge Simpson, out of all of the Simpson characters, would be the Simpson you'd want to sound like the most, wouldn't it? I mean, if you sounded like Bart, that'd be
exactly.
You'd be in a lot of trouble.
Exactly, but yeah.
Talk to me about your biggest bugbear.
I'm very pernickety, which is probably a good thing for what I do when I draft. But no surprises, my bugbears are bad spelling, bad grammar, and also people that use Americanized spellings, like with Z's instead of S's, and also use, this is where my English degree comes in here, words that actually don't exist in our language, like the words snuck is not a proper word, dove is not a proper word in our language. Cass is laughing at me. Words like that, and they're not actually words. It's sneaked and it's dived. They're American. People watch American things, and then my kids say it because they watch American things, and it drives me nuts. Yeah.
So there's two elements of that. Because the kids get a lot of their content from American videos now. It has snuck into kids.
You just said snuck.
I did that on purpose. Did I? I don't know. I'll leave you guessing. It has crept. Has that?
Yeah, that's
you
right.
Are correct. It has crept into the way we speak. But the other thing is, when my computer corrects the English spelling with a Z in, an Americanized Z, not good. I don't like that either.
No, I get very annoyed with that.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Samantha. I'll make sure we have a bit of a differentiation today. Hannah Lee, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. Welcome to the community. This is your first meeting joining us today, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So we'll talk a little bit of business, and you can tell people a little bit about you a little later on. But just talk to me about how your week's gone.
Yeah, so I mean, I've only recently started at my firm, so I've had a quiet couple of weeks, and this week's just been that little bit of the work building up. So unlike everyone else, I've not been manic this week.
Well, that's good.
So,
I mean,
it is. I've enjoyed it so far.
and that warm-up period, that period where you're sort of doing your induction, you're getting involved, how long has that been?
So it was kind of, yeah, the last couple of weeks, just, you know, you have all the induction stuff to start with, and then you spend half the time going, okay, I can't remember how to do this.
Fair enough. And talk to me about bugbears. What's your little annoyance that seems to annoy you and nobody else?
The thing that my partner absolutely loves to do, which is leaving volumes on an odd number. So for me, it's the TV, in the car, anything. It has to be on an even number. And if you put it on an odd, I actually will get up and change it.
See, weirdly, I'm all right with the telly. I am a bit obsessed with Havering Means Business membership numbers, right? So every time we get to like 709, I'm like, we've got to get to 710. And we never do, Hannah Lee. We get to 713. And I'm like, this just, it never ends, does it? It never ends. It's never right. So,
no.
So yeah, all good. All right, well, we'll talk a bit of business a bit later on. Thank you for joining us. Cassie, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you? It's been a while.
Well, since this morning, I'm doing all right, to be honest. I'm really scared about asking you your bugbear. Genuinely, I mean...
I've been compiling a list while I was listening to everyone else's.
How many of them involved me?
All of them. All of them. But I completely get what Hannah Lee's saying, because at home with the TV, I have to have the volume either ending with a 0 or a 5. I can't go either way. So, but yeah, I've just got too many. I could take up all day. Things like the toilet roll, if you don't change the toilet roll, and I've got 3 people that live in my house that do that.
Anything else?
Yeah, you know, like when you throw your stuff at the washing basket, and it
half of it gets there.
Yeah, but there's always a sock that ricochets off.
Right, Russ, mute Cassie. That's enough now. Anyway, thank you. Thank you. I did ask. We'll talk about a bit of business a bit later on. And it's Andy Furno. How are you, Andy? You doing well?
Thank you very much, Mr. Dames. For the first time in the history of your life, you just pronounced my name correctly.
Right, I'm intentionally getting it wrong later in the meeting. So
that's fair enough. Do you know what? I'll take the once. Thank you very much. It's most kind. No, I'm well.
I'm adding a little French accent, or maybe Belgian. I'll wait and see.
Good man.
How are you, mate?
I'm well, and it's good to see everyone. It's nice to be here. Thank you for having me, and very much looking forward to today.
And talk to me about bugbears. What's your annoyance?
My bugbear would be people that put their bins out too early, because you then drive down your road and the cats and the foxes have ripped them to pieces and make it look horrendous. And I think to myself, why would you do it? Don't put it out to, you know, they're going to do it. Why'd you do it too early? And I do get to that stage, it's a bit of rage really, and I actually want to go knocking on the doors and go, why have you done this? But I don't.
No. Internal rage then. You just internalise that rage.
Yeah, it's just insane.
Welcome to Cassie's life. Right, we are on shaky ground right now. I think we better talk a bit of business. Andrew, we're going to start with you, mate. Tell us a little bit about you, tell us about your practice, and tell us about what's going on in your world.
My name is Andrew Fiddler. I'm a member of Milliston Peak LLP. We're a long-established law firm in Romford. We have a branch office in Shenfield. We're, I suppose, an all-service law firm. We do pretty much everything. I'm a commercial property lawyer with a particular emphasis on acting for developers, buying land to develop or sell on. And yeah, we are probably one of the bigger law firms in this neck of the woods. We employ between 60 and 70 people. And as I say, we cover pretty much most spectrums of legal work.
And I'd imagine the property space is the one that's one of the busier elements of the practice.
Residential property at the moment certainly is one of our busier areas. They are, as I think I said in my introduction, that they're rapidly counting the days down to the 30th of June, in the hope that it will calm down a little bit after then, and they can actually take some time off.
Yeah. And what is the prediction when the stamp duty sort of benefit ends?
Well, it varies between the falling off a cliff and it just generally slowing down. Yeah. Interestingly, for this month, my residential team had taken on probably 60 to 70 new cases, none of which will complete before the 30th of June. So there are signs that it is
going to continue
afterward.
Yeah.
The daft thing about all of this is that house prices have risen so much that what you were saving in stamp duty, you're now paying an increased price.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. It is a false economy, isn't it? In terms of the saving you make. But
my hope is he hasn't created an artificial bubble that will then burst and there'll be nothing. But the signs are at the moment that it is continuing on beyond the end of June.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, I think we've seen some volatility in a lot of places over the past sort of year or so. We don't know whether that volatility is going to end, but over the longer term, it all balances out and gets back to normal. Well, we'll see.
I had a partner who always used the phrase about property, swings and roundabouts, and it is. If you're in property for the short term, if you're in a boom, then you are going to make money, but property is more often than not a long-term investment.
Well, I mean, that's the other challenge, isn't it? You know, when we speak to clients about this, and for those who don't know, my day job is sort of a chartered financial planner and running a financial planning practice. It's always talking about, you know, our game is never to time the market. You know, our game is never to time the market. It's strategic, not tactical. We're always looking at the longer term, because the people who try and time it, 20% might win, but 80% definitely lose.
I would agree with that. I mean, you will get lucky some of the time, but it will eventually get you.
Yeah, 100%. So longer term market growth is the way to go, both in the property space and in my world.
Short termism doesn't do anybody any favours anyway.
Yeah, I completely agree. Thanks, Andrew. Really appreciate that. Ian, talk to me about what's going on in your world work-wise.
Well, for those of you who don't know me, I'm a consultant specialising in changing compliance. I've got a couple of clients now that I'm acting as an accountability partner for, so helping them with their planning and things like that, helping them understand that they're brilliant at what they do, but I'm helping them with some of the strategy parts. And then a really interesting thing came up just after the last meeting, and that was what with the suspicion that the restrictions weren't going to be ending, I was approached to help do a risk assessment for a festival, which actually, funny enough, it isn't that difficult to do, but it's just helping them understand, you know, what the COVID pieces are, where they need to go. You know, the fact that they need to worry about the staff, the vendors at the festival, as well as those attending. But it's a really interesting little thing to do. It didn't take long, and it took a few hours to have a chat with them about, you know, the site, how it's laid out, all those kind of things. But really interesting piece of work to do.
And I know that a few weeks ago you talked about the mentoring project you're doing.
Yeah,
it's in partnership with Santander. How's that going?
That's going really well. I mean, because of this particular person's desires, I've also been able to introduce some people that we both know, Chris, to that person, so that they can achieve their dreams. And that is like a key part of why I put my name forward for it. Because that's what it's all about for me, is helping people achieve their dreams, and it's helping them to understand that, you know, help is healthy.
Yeah, 100%. Knowing what you don't know and filling that gap is super important, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And I know that I spend a lot of time building relationships, not to always win new work, but to build my connections to help my clients. Because that having the network that you can trust to go to, saying, right, I've got a client who needs some help in this particular area, here's the person you need to speak to, is super important. So yeah, and we've got for the professionals in the room. I don't know if you're around for next week's Inner Circle, Ian. It is a doozy of a case study with an amazing 80s reference that I'm hoping nobody gets, because I've worked really hard to make sure it's hidden in there. But we'll see. I've probably picked it up too much.
Yeah, I very rarely get them anyway, Chris.
Should I make him a 70s reference?
No, let's go 60s. Then it'll be all right.
All right, cheers, mate. Thank you so much. And on that collaboration note, I'm going to bring on Sam Strong. Sam, I know that Kaz has spoken to you about this, but we'll pick up on it early next week. We've just picked up a corporate client, really big construction business in Romford, and we're doing advice for their 8 directors. And we found out they've got a real gap when it comes to wills and PO8. So I know that we're going to be working together on that. Talk to me about what else is going on with you business-wise.
Me?
Yeah.
Specifically, what about the kind of cases I'm dealing with?
Yeah, tell me, help me understand who you're helping and what's going on in your world.
Okay. I think a lot at the moment. I'm seem to be quite busy with parents with young children who want to put in place wills specifically because they're looking at guardianship. You know, making sure that if anything happens to them, the children have got someone to look after them, to make sure there's trust funds set up. And I think maybe it's because people are starting to think about going away this summer, whether that's in England or abroad. So the first thing, you know, people go, oh, we better get our wills done before we're traveling. So I think I've got quite busy with that side of things. LPAs are busier more than ever before. And it used to, I think I've said before, powers of attorney used to be something that elderly people tended to come to me more for, because their children would come and they'd be concerned about things like dementia and, you know, worried, or they parents wanted them to help out. Whereas I think since the pandemic has started, I'm now getting people of all ages realizing that powers of attorney can be used at any time. You know, if you get COVID and you are in a coma, even for a short period of time, then there's no one able to pay your bills, pay your bank accounts. If you're in the middle of, you know, buying or selling a property and you're a joint owner, that all gets frozen, obviously, if the person loses capacity. But if you've got an attorney in place, that can carry on. So people are realizing that actually it affects people of all ages at any time. So having lasting powers of attorney in place, both for finance and also for health and welfare, so people can make medical decisions for you as well, it's really handy to have those. It's something I'm working on for myself as well at the moment, because I also didn't have them in place, but it's made me think that I need to, you know, show by example that I'm doing them as well for me. So, and it's not always simple. It's a lot of things to consider for it. But yeah, LPAs are really busy at the moment.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. When Cassie and I did our wills properly, I know 5 or 6 years ago now, the biggest question, the one we struggled with the most, was that guardianship. You know, the money was actually relatively simple, but the guardianship, who would we want our girls to be looked after if we weren't around, was actually quite a difficult and thoughtful conversation.
It seems to be that, you know, for parents doing wills, and I know it was the same when I was doing my own, you know, where everything's going tends to be quite simple. In most kind of straightforward family situations, it tends to go spouse to spouse and then to the children in trust till 25, etc. But it's the choices of who to be guardians, but also who to put in charge of the children's trust funds. Those seem to be the decisions people go kind of around the houses a lot with and want help getting to those decisions and trying to work out what factors they should consider and who might be the best kind of candidates for it. So those are probably the areas I spend the most time talking about, actually. And guardians are the reason that people come to do the wills in the first place often, but then they don't realise they've also got to think about trustees and executors as well, and then that's another conversation to explore. But it's not just young people that need wills. Obviously, I do wills for people of all ages for all different kinds of estate planning reasons.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting point, actually, because I've got a couple of estate planning cases that I'm working on at the minute where just the basic stuff, people haven't got wills in place. And I said, look, bottom line, I can do the best inheritance tax planning I can for you. If you haven't got a will in place, you're subject to the laws of intestacy, and you're in a position where we can't plan as well as we can. We lose all sorts of reliefs and benefits. So yeah,
needs to be done in tandem, really. And I say to people equally, when a lot of people I think expect when they do wills, they go, oh, do you cover inheritance tax planning as well in wills? And I said, well, I will talk to you about inheritance tax and we'll go through your estate and what you qualify for. But if you actually need to do any work with that, I can't do that for you because it's kind of too late to leave it until your will. We can maximise the allowances you've got and make sure they're used. But if you want to do some estate planning, you need to do that now while you're alive, and that's not something for a will. That would be where someone like you and Cassie would come in. And
as 100% planning job, that one. Definitely. Yeah, thanks, Sam. Really appreciate that. As we're on the Sams, should we go to Sam Chilton-Cox? Talk to me about what's going on in your world work-wise. Are you going to talk about you and Steve? You're more than welcome.
I have no idea what he does. Maybe you can tell me.
Insurance stuff, I think.
It's insurance, lots of cars. People drive badly. So I am a legal recruiter. Most of my work is in the city, but most of my candidates are actually, we did a report on it. I think it's 63% are based in and around Havering or Essex. So something like Havering means business actually I get quite a lot out of, because it's good to know what's going on in the business community, for just to see what's happening with our candidates. We're slowly coming out of the worst 18 months in recruitment we've ever had. Ironically, our clients have all done amazingly. So all the law firms we have on our client base have all seen growth in their profits. But in the last 3 weeks, we've probably seen about a 200% increase in vacancies, which is brilliant, but we're not seeing an increase in candidates because people don't want to move. They don't want to risk what the next employer might offer in terms of working from home or how stable it is. So for a recruiter to have lots of jobs on, it's great. We just need a few more candidates and we'll be really happy. But it's a lot more positive than what it was this time last year.
So two interesting things there. I think from my experience talking to companies across Havering and like in my extended network, professional services firms have had a pretty decent year and a half. And I appreciate that not every business has gone through that process, but it has been interesting. Funny enough, we've got the MP on next week for Hornchurch and Upminster, and when I met with her a couple of weeks ago, not only didn't I bring any money, which was clearly a schoolboy error, you know, you've got to buy your own coffee when you have a meeting, surely, but we did talk about the fact that there are a lot of successes in business that we should highlight, because that then sort of gives a bit of positivity and optimism. But the other interesting point is that sort of change in method of work and whether that impacts the recruitment space, particularly in the city. What do you think about that?
Well, we don't need to be in the city.
Yeah.
In some respects, which in itself just makes everything a lot harder, because particularly we're a small boutique agency. We pride ourselves on always having a really open door policy. People can pop in, and we're very touchy-feely. You know, we like meeting our candidates. So everything's had to change. It's quite virtual. Everything's very quick. You don't get to have the chat and find out about people before you put them forward. It's all things evolves a lot slower in some respects. Your candidate is their CV. And you're starting to realise that people actually are looking at different things when they're looking at jobs.
Yeah.
You know, it is very much about, okay, how can I commute into the city to make it as easiest for me? Can I travel off peak? Can I travel 3 days a week, 2 days a week, and things like that? So it's really interesting.
That flexibility has gone way up on the list, hasn't it? You know, in terms of working practices. Yeah,
and it's great that the train companies are looking at how they're going to allow us to pay for part travel. Not for me, because C2Cs have a great system that they've now brought in line with everyone else, so it's actually more expensive now for me. But I don't know how I'm ever going to arrange an interview, because if I've got candidates working 3 days a week in London and the interviewer is working 3 days a week in London or 2 days a week in London, but they don't cross over, but they have to do a face-to-face, it could take 3 weeks.
It takes longer. Yeah, it takes a lot longer. Yeah. That will be a bit more frustrating. Talk to me a little bit about the podcast. How's it going?
It's going really, really well. Really, really well. So we've actually got a meeting next week with Phoenix FM to do a little slot with them, but also to talk about maybe taking over their mental health podcast.
Oh, cool.
Which would be really interesting. We're getting some guest speakers. So Steve is going to be the first guest speaker. So where Amy and I have been talking about our experience and our journey with mental health, Steve's going to be doing it from the perspective of your partners having mental health issues. How does that impact, or how it impacted him, how he went and got help? Well, he didn't, but why he didn't go and get help, and just to try and make it not just about us, but actually how it impacts everyone. So we've got a few more lined up as well along those routes. So yeah, good stuff.
And you're coming on my podcast next week.
Next week, yeah.
And I've got another couple of referrals for you, because when I reached out to my network and people I know this week, there's another local guy who's made some traction with the mental health podcast that you need to connect with. So I'll make that introduction when I get a chance, probably sometime next week. So thanks, Anne. Appreciate that. Carol, talk to me about what's going on in your world.
I think most of you know me. I'm from Door to Door. We're a leaflet distribution company. And yeah, I've got a few things to show you as always. I've got this one.
You're so good with the merch. You always bring something tangible. I love that.
Deli Live, they're in Romford. They were one of our very first customers actually. So they're back with new menus. They are eating and takeaway. And it made me think about all these guys because you know, I wrote them down. So Just Eat, Deliveroo, all of those Uber foods and things, really exciting because you can see them driving to you on the app. They take around 30 to 40% from these guys. And people say, oh, well, if they're on Just Eat and Deliveroo, they don't mind, well, that's fine for them. But they're too scared not to be on there because if you Google Indian in Romford and then Deli Live doesn't show up, then you're never going to go there anyway. So
the interesting thing about that is we experienced that yesterday. We checked the cost of a takeaway on Deliveroo, and it was about 12 quid more expensive than going direct. And you go, do you know what I mean? It's so completely, you know, and that doesn't go in the individual's pocket, does it? That goes in Deliveroo's pocket.
Absolutely. I can't believe there's so much more because my poor children or teens have asked before, oh, well, can we deliver from there and then we can watch online as they're making it and bringing it to us, and it's a big fat no from us. But I've got other things to show you and tell you as well. Do you remember I mentioned you loved it, Chris, romancing a couple of people on Instagram and they'd come to us to get quotes? We got them both.
Cool.
Both of them. So yes, it seems like it's a win of the week, but I've got a win of the week for later. So yeah, that was really good to get those. So Joe and Jam, which if you're local to us is donuts in Gidea Park, donuts the size of your head. And Food Boxes in South Street in Romford, and they deliver, you can eat in, you can get takeaway. So yeah, they're just really funky and just so great to be working with those, you know, local and small businesses, and just feel like we've got a lot in common with them, really.
Amazing, love it. And well done for getting the sneaky win of the week in before win of the week.
I've got another win of the week that's not a win of the week. I can't believe Newman isn't here to hear it because for quite some time him and Martin have been going on at me to just go for it and offer social media services. So this week we have finally dipped our toe. We are offering 1 month trials of doing a basic social media package. So just so people can see if they like what we do. So yeah, we're just going for it.
Cool. Sounds amazing. Look forward to seeing more of that on the community. Thanks, Carol. Really appreciate that. Cassie, I know you've got a meeting at 1, haven't you? So I better come to you, otherwise I am in a lot of trouble.
Hi.
How's your week going?
It's going really well, really, really busy. I've got a fantastic visitor in the office today, though. She wants to come and say hello to everyone because I know that quite a few of you know her.
Hello.
Let's take them out.
How are we doing?
Hello, everyone. So loads of people know Nadine from various networking events, and we are getting together today. We were meant to have a meeting with a local venue to try and sort out some live events, but they have cancelled about 10 minutes after Nadine got here.
Oh no.
But we're going to sit and get our heads together anyway and get some planning done. Nadine's going to be helping us out with promoting Havering Means Business and support with events coming up.
Cool, amazing.
I've got a visitor today.
You're just excited there's somebody in the office, right, Kaz?
Yeah.
Good stuff. What else is going on with you?
Sorry, say that again?
What else is going on with you?
Just really busy with client work. A lot of stuff is coming to the end now, which is always good. Some stuff that's been hanging around for a long time because of complications with providers and stuff like that. But we are finally coming up with quite a few lovely cases. Again, we just picked up a really good corporate client, and looks like we may get 2 or 3 more of those, fingers crossed. And I'm going to Henley tomorrow, so I'm happy.
Yeah, we're on the boat tomorrow. That's going to be a really good day.
Boat down at Henley, and he's going to take us out for the day on the boat tomorrow.
Well, you can stick around for Winter of the Week now. Now your meeting's off.
I'm going to meet with Nadine, and we're going to get some ideas.
Oh, cool. All right then. No worries. I'll let you move on then. Julie Wedge, talk to me about what's going on with your world work-wise.
Hi, if anyone doesn't know me, I'm Julie from Flower Shed, so I'm a florist. Yeah, it's been difficult this week because they announced that weddings were all back on, which was great. But what they didn't tell everyone was that venues still have to have their COVID restrictions. And I've had one wedding completely, they decided not to get married. They just said, no, it's too much of a headache. We're not going to do it. So yeah, see you later, Kathy. Yeah, so that was a bit of a pain in the neck. And I agree with what Carol said about the Just Eat app. It works exactly the same way. If someone goes to Interflora or eFlorist, and is it 7 Art of Flowers, the florist that they choose to use, because you buy into it, the florist doesn't make that much money, so you're better off going direct to a florist.
Because it's never them being the supplier, is it? They're never the actual supplier of the service. It's always people more locally.
Yeah, because I looked at doing Interflora, but you have to buy so much stock in and have it there ready, and it would just be waste. So yeah, it's a big thing. But,
So not a great week because of what's going on in terms of things. Talk to me about the boutique stuff, because you've seen that. Has that been done, or are you still looking to do more of that?
I haven't had any more inquiries, but I'm still chasing them to see when they're doing their next sort of photo shop. So I'm going along those lines. So yeah, no, I think it's good.
And you've got and you two, like Carol and Julie, you had a little walk in the park as well, didn't you? In a little meeting.
We did, yeah.
That's good. I love the face and I love a bit of face-to-face stuff. Good stuff. Thanks, Julie. Julie Bell, talk to me about what's going on in your world work-wise.
Well, I was feeling a bit left out because Carol always brings some visuals. So I have something I'd like to share with you. It's just a bottle of water. My week this week has been very interesting. We have got quite a few new clients that are coming in for complimentary one-to-ones, so that's really, really good. I think there's still a few businesses that are concerned about what's going on with, are we going to be fully open, are we not? What's, just the confusion there, really. I feel for Julie, because you can go to a pub, you can go to a gym, and yet you can go to a wedding but you can't dance.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a wedding coming up in July. We've all got to sit at the table and we can't dance. It's just, so I think there's a lot of businesses that are really sort of like.
Well, I think the other thing is as well is, if you are getting married and, this is going to be your one memory of it. I know Sam and Steve got married through COVID, didn't you? Do you wait and make it a day? It's difficult all round, I think.
Yeah, but through all the hardship that businesses have had during the last sort of, is it 18 months? I think it seems longer than that now. We have done very well because, like I just said, businesses didn't know what to do, especially when there was a second lockdown and then they extended it and then they kept extending it. I think sometimes they almost wanted just to come and use us as a sounding board. Like, what the bloody hell are we going to do? Where do we turn? What do we do with staff? And all that goes with that. But,
yeah, but it's interesting. It's what Ian was saying earlier on about just having an accountability part to guide them through and make sure they're making the right choices. And certainly in our world, that's what we do for our clients. It's smart, sensible, people that have done all right, but need some support in terms of what's next.
Yeah, because I'm not an action coach yet. All of us here, we have our own coaches to help us do the job as best that we can do it. So, and I really have found that really helpful for me. But yeah, we've got a couple of, as you say, we've got our event with yourself, we've got our other event, the 6 Steps, which is going to be on the 8th of July. And then later in July, we've got a great event coming.
Cool. Are you announcing it yet, or are you keeping it secret? Go on, do it.
Right, okay. We're holding a family fun day on the 25th of July, which is a Sunday, between 1 and 7. It's in memory of my late niece, who sadly passed away 3 years ago through cancer. And sorry, it was her birthday yesterday, so we all had a bit of a chinwag yesterday. And we're delighted that it's along with Andy and St Francis Hospice, because that is where she wanted to be at the end of life and have the care there. Unfortunately, she never made it. But anyway, we have got so much going on. We've got a charity football match, we've got face painting, we've got everything that you can come and have a great family day, family afternoon. It really is going to be good. But we've got a couple of great raffle prizes, and one I know I'm going to be in.
Well, I mean, I'm going to be there. I mean, number one, to support the hospice, because I'm a keen supporter of the hospice. But number two, so I can just win that win walk. I don't think there's any competition for it, to be honest.
Oh, bring it on, guys! Watch this. I want that win walk. But also, the family are very big. Well, they've always been West Ham supporters, so much. And Andy has pulled a cracker, absolute bloody cracker, out of the bag for us, because we've got none other than Trevor Brooking joining us. So, I mean, the night we found out, and my first point of call was Cassie, I think my sister-in-law just cried.
Yeah.
She just phoned me up and just cried.
Well, funny enough, Andy and I were out for a curry this week, having a bit of a chinwag, and we were talking about that. So I will be there with a West Ham shirt, potentially trying to get a signature. So,
right.
So yeah, all good.
And the other, can I just quickly say, because I don't want to overlap or anything, but why this is so important to doing this is that within 6 months of my niece being diagnosed with breast cancer, my sister-in-law was also diagnosed with breast cancer. Now, Sandra is in remission. She's battling through, but unfortunately we did lose Vicky. So, and Vicky's one wish was not to be forgotten. She left 2 little boys behind. So, if any of you are around on that Sunday, please come and join us. It'll be amazing. It'll be great to see you there, and I might even buy you all a drink.
Perfect. Even if you're competing against a win walk, I'll take the drink, Julie.
So I'm just getting more excited to compete against you. But my husband has set me a bloody limit, and he said to me, "You're not to go over that limit." Oh,
do you want to share how much it is?
No. Nice try.
No, I'm just going to tell her over. I mean, then it's job done, isn't it? All right, we'll keep it to yourself. Hannah Lee, talk to me about what's going on with your world work-wise.
So I'm a solicitor dealing with wills, trusts and probate, and like I said, I've only recently joined my firm at the beginning of June, actually. So I'm in the unique position where I have no work. Well, I'm starting to get work. So I'm enjoying the bit of a lull, if you like, to get a bit of a feel for what's out there, what people are looking for, etc.
Yeah.
Much the same as what Samantha said, a lot of the inquiries we are getting are from actually younger people considering their wills and their powers of attorney, because I think, if nothing else, the last year has sort of shown us all that we're not invulnerable.
Yeah.
And I mean, I must admit, I had a client who I spoke to on the phone the other day. Now, she's only in her 40s, having to deal with her mum having passed away. And we were having just a bit of a general discussion, and straight away went, "I don't think I need a will." I'm like, "Well, you know, why is that?" "Oh, well, I don't have anything. And to be honest, my children will just get it." Well, obviously, we started discussing her kids. They're only teenagers. And it's like, well, who is going to look after them? Yeah, okay, they'd have a say in it, but you need to kind of give an indication as well as to what happens with them. So yeah, it's been interesting the last sort of week or so, just starting to get those new clients coming in, and getting an idea as to what people want, I guess.
And this is a new sort of role for you. Tell me a little bit about what you were doing before.
So I was with another firm doing the exact same sort of work. So was dealing with wills, trusts and probate, and it's the firm that I came away from was a very busy firm, well known in the area, etc. There I was primarily dealing with probates, so helping people through, you know, one of the most difficult points in their life. They've lost a loved one. So the plus sign, I suppose, with my new role is I get a bit of a mixture, but yeah, it's all very much the same sort of private client work. So helping people with their planning, I guess, for the future.
Well, welcome to the community. Thanks for joining us. And I'm sure that there's loads of stuff that we can help you with as a community, and certainly I'll be in touch for us to arrange a chat as well.
Okay.
Andy, tell us a little bit about you, and I know that Ras has tallied you up to do the presentation as well. So Ras, do you want to, and Andy, actually you've got permissions, haven't you? Do you want to set that up, mate?
Yeah, you want me to share my screen now?
Please.
Okay. Okay. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yep.
Everybody, can everybody see the first slide?
Yes.
Okay, so I did actually want to say, just listening in, Chris, I'd be very, very worried if she sticks to that limit that her husband set her, because I can't see it. Okay, can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, perfectly.
Yeah,
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I usually launch straight into talking about St Francis Hospice, which is, of course, what I'm here to do. But over the last 12 months, and watching many presentations, it makes sense to share a few things about myself and what led me for working this magnificent charity that I represent. The first thing you will notice is my surname. It's French. But that's where the French connection stops, because I was born in 1967 at Hackney Hospital. Anyone that tells you they're from Hackney ain't, because I can assure you all there's no H in Hackney. So my dad was one of 11 out of Bethnal Green, and my mum was one of 9 out of Stoke Newington. They were married for over 60 years until my mum passed in 2013. My dad very recently passed, just December 2020. He was 96. They were and are everything to me. I'm the youngest of 3 sons. I'm very proud of my roots. Maybe it's because I'm a Londoner. The most important thing I am is a father. Let me introduce my 2 daughters, Chelsea and Taylor. Now almost 28 and 26. My world right there. There is also a young lady called Charlotte and a young man named Sean, who I work with, who I watch over like a father figure, which I'm very privileged to do and I embrace. I'm a huge football fan, a season ticket holder at West Ham, and of course we have a big game today. And I still play every week at 53, 8 or 9 aside these days. Now, I was never in fundraising. I was a printer for 26 years. Alongside that, I've been DJing since I was 17. So that's now a career of 36 years. I am 18 in the picture you're seeing. Yes, I had hair back in the day. My passion for playing music for others is still as strong now as ever. These days, my love of music has led me into broadcasting. I'm on the internet soul music station Soulbeat Radio. I present 2 shows a week, Sunday afternoons and Monday evenings. I can also be followed on Mixcloud. For 10 years, I ran my own soul music promotions called It's Like Candy, and somehow inherited the nickname the Candyman. The first 3 events were fundraisers. The first for the Muscular Dystrophy campaign, the second for Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital, and the last fundraiser was for St Francis Hospice. My reason? One of my best friend's mum was cared for both at home and at the hospice itself. The support the family received was equally incredible. I believe that everything in life happens for a reason. At the time I was due to pay the donation into the hospice for the event, I found out I was being made redundant from my printing job. The hospice were going to give me a tour to show me how the donation would be used. I put that off whilst trying to find work, but eventually made contact and paid the donation in. The head of fundraising explained they were putting together a team to go out and talk to people about the work of St Francis Hospice and encourage donation. She said I would be ideal. I started on the 6th of July 2011. Now I want to share with you all some important information about this unique local charity that I represent. Some of you may know all about hospices, some of you very little. We opened our doors 37 years ago this July. We are based in Havering Atte Bower in Romford, Essex. We are one of the largest adult hospices in the UK, covering Havering, Brentwood, Barking and Dagenham, Redbridge and West Essex. Almost 1 million people. Our patients range from the ages of 18 upwards, though there is a transitional programme for young adults who have life-limiting illness and will need our care once they turn 18. Of course, our patients' age go right up to 100 plus. We are a 22-bed inpatient unit operating on 18 due to funding. More funding means we could employ more medical staff, which in turn means we could have more patients. Because of COVID-19, we currently operate on 16 beds. Many mistake us for being just a cancer charity. Not so. We are caring for patients and patients' families living with any life-limiting illness. Cancer, heart disease, motor neurone disease are just a few examples. You may all remember the Ice Bucket Challenge a few years back. That was to raise awareness for MND. We have a fair few patients with motor neurone disease at the hospice. The majority of our care takes place out in the community. Your own home, residential homes, nursing homes. The hospice at home team are exceptional. It's exactly the same level of care you'd receive at the hospice itself. Every service we provide to our patients and patients' families is free of charge. We receive approximately 23% funding from the NHS and government combined. That means there is an enormous amount that needs to be raised in voluntary income each year. Sorry, I just lost my thread. Just to cover all running costs, but it's a challenge we embrace. Pemberton Place is our day clinic for our outpatients, those who are well enough to live at home with their illness, but come in and access our services and go home at the end of that day. There is a strong family support and bereavement team and a team of fully trained volunteers that assist them. Orange Line is a telephone service that supports the lonely, isolated and recently bereaved. You do not have to be under the umbrella of the hospice to access this service, and again, lots of volunteers help with this. There are between 900 and 1,000 volunteers helping with all aspects, which I would explain if asked in a one-to-one. Retail plays a huge part in supporting the hospice. You would have all seen a St Francis Hospice shop at some point. They are all over our catchment area. Before COVID, we offered a full house clearance service and we also operate on eBay. Legacy plays an important part in funding the hospice. We do receive healthy donation from wills, though we often aren't aware this is coming. We also apply for trusts and grants constantly. And then there's fundraising. As an individual, you can do anything from sponsor a nurse to playing the weekly lottery, just £1 a week. Would any of you love to win £1,000 in the weekly draw? If you don't win, your £1 a week aids patient care. Surely that's a win too. In my time at St Francis Hospice, I've been involved in event, community and corporate fundraising. I've been all over the communities whom we care for, placing orange collection boxes in shops for the hospice, and the pennies soon mount up. I've worked in most banks, most supermarkets and most of the shopping centres. Anywhere we've been chosen as Charity of the Year. Pretty much everywhere in my quest to raise awareness and to try and get support. We've always done lots of events, all halted by COVID-19 of course, but that will return. These days, this Cockney boy is trusted in the corporate world. Pictured here is the team from Beresford's estate agents. This was just after a cycle challenge. There is so much more I could tell you if you wanted a one-to-one with me, and more importantly, find a way to do a little something in support of your local hospice. It's about finding your fit and doing your bit. We are currently asking all individuals, groups and businesses to go orange for at least one day in the month of July. We're focusing at the hospice on the 2nd of July, but you don't have to do that day. You find a day in July that suits you. But it's about fundraising your way, but doing something to support the hospice. And that's me, guys, unless there's any questions.
There is, because I've got a couple. Thanks, Andy. I really appreciate that. First thing I wanted to highlight is I've known Andy now for probably a couple of years, 2.5 years, something like that. And our first experience is, as a lot of you know, I host a podcast called The Kindness Project. Andy very kindly came on and talked about the hospice on the podcast, and it's one of our most popular shows on the podcast. And what we'll do is on the show notes I'll put a link to that interview. If you want to find out a lot more about the hospice and a bit more of a long form chat, check out the podcast. But I've got 2 questions. First one's about Orange Line, Andy, because clearly we've been through an 18-month period where it's been a bit tough. And loneliness and isolation as sort of, particularly if people living on their own, has been a lot more prominent. Help me understand what the demand has been for Orange Line and how that's changed.
Sure. The great thing about Orange Line, there was some years ago, there was obviously a need for it. And how we were going to fund that, I just do not know, because the funding that we do raise, you know, it goes on our medical services, our patients and patients' care. So they applied to the National Lottery for funding to set up Orange Line, and they were successful. But it was only a year's grant to start with. And so after that, every single year they go through that scare of having to make that application. But it was very clear after 12 months that that need was there. Now, I'd like to share with you all a very, very quick story about just how important Orange Line is and the impact that it has. In these days, I was an ambassador. So I used to go around the community, literally knocking on doors and talking to people about our work and how they could support. And one day I was in Collier Row and I knocked on a gentleman's door. I would place that gentleman at around about late 20s, early 30s. He was very dishevelled, didn't look like he'd washed that day. I'm not even sure if he knew, Chris, what day it was, what month it was, anything like that. His story in a nutshell was that he was an only child and he had that scenario where his mother and his father were both ill at the same time. Now, he'd given up work to be his mother's primary carer, but at this time his father was in hospital and so was his mother. And the inevitable happened. He was visiting one when he got that call that he urgently had to get to the other hospital, but he didn't make it in time. And within a month, his father had passed as well. So this young lad was in a terrible, terrible state. And I realised that what I was there to do, which was to talk about our schemes, our lottery, our sponsor and earth, was irrelevant at that moment. And I gave him the information to contact Orange Line. And I said to him, when you feel ready, please make that call, because you are not isolated, you're not on your own, and if we can't help you, we'll signpost you. And I received an internal email about 2 days later from the person that runs Orange Line, and she said, Andy, you caught that young lad exactly at the right time, because he's called in already. And that fella was already accessing the support 2 days later.
Love it. And being out in the community, business or personal, is about actually flagging when somebody might need the help as well, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so that was part one, question one. And then question two was, I'd imagine there's a decent range of stuff we can do as businesses to support the hospice. Tell us a little bit about some of the stuff that you guys do in partnership with business.
Okay, so it depends really the size of your business, because if you think, we actually do get approached by huge businesses who have an enormous amount of employees. So they'll do like a Go Orange Day, which means every member of staff will possibly come in an item of orange. They might have a bake sale that's been set up where someone who's really good within the team, within the employment, will make a load of cakes. They'll hold a raffle. They'll do an auction, maybe. Someone will have their hair shaved off that day. And it's a case of all the staff getting involved in some kind of fundraising. There's a really, really important word in fundraising, guys, and that's fun. That's fun. So have some fun when you're doing what you're doing. So again, if you are the size of a big business, it might be not be difficult to get a good donation together. But one of the things that I learned when I first became a fundraiser is, Chris Dames, I would never walk up to you and say, Chris, could you donate £1,000 to the hospice, please? Because that's not right. But actually, you, Chris Dames, could generate £1,000, because it's about, you know, that old thing in life. It's not what you know, it's who you know. It's your work colleagues, your friends, your family, your loved ones, your best friends. And it's about saying that I'm going to go and do the London Marathon. Would you get behind me? 9 times out of 10, people will get behind you. Tell them what the cause is, and I'll tell you why that will work, because everyone that's on this meeting today, the hospice, not just our hospice, any hospice in this country, will touch 1 in 3 people, whether that's your friend, whether it's your relative, whether it's your neighbour. Because I'm telling you right now, all of you, there is probably someone in your street right now that's having hospice at home and you don't even know. So it's very, very, very essential that as a business, as an individual, as a group, you get your head around it and you think, you know what could we do? If that means that we get Julie Wedge sitting in a bath of beans because they're orange, we do it.
I mean, I'm thinking about paying Julie Bell to get on that plane. I might actually, not happening, Julie, pay for your own wing walk. I might actually, if we could do a sponsored wing walk, Julie, couldn't we?
Yes,
that could work.
Dressed in orange.
Yeah.
Chris,
Dressed in bright orange. Let's do it. Let's do
it.
But I mean, if you do see a lot of run chat from me over the next 5 to 6 months, it is because I am doing the London Marathon and I do want to raise as much money for St Francis as possible. So apologies for all my social media posts, but give us a bit of cash as well, because it's going to an amazing cause. Any questions, comments, thoughts from anybody involved?
The one thing I want to say is Andy, another group that we both belong to, mentioned about Amazon Smile, and I think that's absolutely fabulous piece of information, Andy. We all buy stuff, and if you register on Amazon Smile and you put St Francis Hospice as the receiver of the donations, you pay nothing more, but they get money from it. It's something that you can do without affecting your own pocket even. So if you're going to do anything, do that.
Andy, do you want to share a little bit about that, how that works? How do people do that?
Yeah, Ian's hit the nail on the head. Especially over this last, this pandemic, we're not going to Lakeside, we're not going to Blue Water, everyone's shopping online. Almost everyone is a customer of Amazon, right? And they have this scheme. Instead of typing into Amazon, you go Smile Amazon. And if you go Smile Amazon, it's exactly the same products that you were going to purchase anyway, but you can select a charity to receive a donation. And as Ian said, as a customer, that will cost you no more whatsoever. But you make that purchase, and then St Francis Hospice receive a quarterly donation from Amazon. But it's by using the Smile Amazon. So thank you for that, Ian. You know what it is? You try not to put too much in 10 minutes because I could bore you all senseless. But thank you, Ian.
But what we'll also do, Raz, can you just make sure that when we type up the show notes, the link to Amazon Smile for St Francis Hospice is in there. Anybody else got any other questions and comments? Julie, Bell, thoughts?
Well, so I'm just delighted that we're going to be working with Andy, and we're doing what we can. I mean, this is going to be our third event, I believe, or second event. Yeah, and it's just a shame that it's not till something so traumatic happens to you as a family that it highlights just what these fabulous charities do. And it's funny because while Andy was doing his presentation, which was really great, by the way, Andy, I remembered now about 10 years ago, one of our friends' mum was in St Francis, and we visited there. Fantastic people there. You know it's just amazing.
You know what, Julie, it's an interesting one because Andy and I were talking about that this week, and you're right, you don't realise the work they do until there's an impact. But I think as businesses and as business people, so I'm doing some work at the minute on our on Savello for Good investment proposition, investing your money to make sure it's doing some good. And a few of my clients are helping me with it. And one of my clients said something really interesting, that he wants to leave the world in a better place when he goes than when he came in. And I think as business people, we've got a real opportunity to do some good in our community. And that's why we're really proud to support Andy and the work that he does, as well as the other charities involved in Overy Means Business.
Right. But the care, as I say, when my niece went for her, I don't know what you called it really, it was a visit. Yeah, just to look round and chatted with some different members of staff there. She actually came out of there buzzing. Yeah.
And I will share this with you guys, okay? There are so many great charities, so I'm not just flying the flag for St Francis Hospice. I've heard Kieran come on here from Havery Mine. They are a fantastic charity. When you see a man walking down the road with his guide dog, where is your argument? Because that dog has changed that man's life, right? So I'm not here just flying a flag for St Francis Hospice. I can only tell you why, for me, it's so easy to passionately represent my organisation. The life of a fundraiser is a privileged one because families will let you into their world. They will tell you how the hospice has supported them and why they want to give something back. And then when you work there, and because we are a local charity, I get to see on a daily basis how that money raised is used. And I'm very much a local person, and I see local people getting support. And while there is air in my lungs, I will support the hospice and be very vocal about it.
Andy, amazing. Thank you so much for that presentation.
And Andy, you know, on behalf of the Bell family, we can't thank you enough, honestly. And also, I did forget one other mention. Can I just say it quickly? It's to you and Cassie, because you've got that amazing wing walk for us.
Well, that wing walk that I'm going to win, you mean?
Oh, guys, on this meeting, please listen out for the first meeting after the 25th of July.
You know what? I'll tell you what we'll do. Because we need to get together and do a bit of video stuff as well, Julie. You've threatened me with that, haven't you? Yes. So I'm up for that. But I don't mind the wind walk. It's wearing all orange I'm scared of. I mean, Andy can pull it off, but I don't know if I can. But if I tell you what we do, right? If I win the wind walk or you win the wind walk, if you win the wind walk, I'll pay for my own wind walk and I'll raise a bit of money for St Francis. How does that sound?
I reckon we've got a deal there.
Cool, good stuff. All right, let's move on to wins of the week. Sam Chilton Cox, talk to me about what your big win is this week.
My big win is I got to go into London and see all my team for the first time in 8 months.
Oh,
Wow.
How was that?
It was amazing. And actually what was even better for me, so part of the reason I do the mental health podcast is 2 days before Christmas last year, I had what I affectionately call my loon out. These were the last people I saw before my loon out, and they can see such a difference, but didn't know at the time how poorly I was. So there were lots of wins as a team for seeing each other, but also mentally. And we also shared how much we're all struggling working from home, and actually sharing that some of our working practices weren't very healthy. Like people just sat at screens for 6 hours a day, feeling at the end of 6 hours, you know, they've not accomplished anything. So it was amazing to hear that we all, no matter what age, what experience, without the structure of an office and having people around us, we pick up bad habits a lot quicker.
Well, I suppose part of the challenge is work never ends, does it? Because you're at a laptop all the time, and you know, I think, you know, I personally am a social animal, and I like seeing people, and that for me, you know, Sam, you know, I've been very, very lucky through lockdown in a bunch of different ways. But you look at it and you go, you it's all of this stuff is about people and network, meeting and engaging with people, and doing that via Zoom is a second best alternative, isn't it? Sometimes,
if not, there's no. In some ways, it's not even second best. It can be detrimental because you can get Zoom fatigue. You don't get to ask sometimes the questions. You don't have the I always say to my candidates before an interview, remember, you're not going to get that fluffy time. They're not going to ask you what your journey was like, how you found the office, what's your day been. You're going to go straight in, and that makes the whole process that just colder.
And and it's a weird one, isn't it? It's, you know, it's the personal stuff sometimes where you build the relationship. You know, that's the challenge, and we've lost a bit of that. I think that will come back, though, I'm hoping. But yeah, amazing win. Thanks, Sam. Really appreciate that. Carol, go on, give us your win of the week. I know it's going to be good already.
It was all just a bit muddled because my win of the week was going to be mentioning about our new social media services, but then Martin came in and said, I'm sure you all remember a few weeks ago I said to you, Green Thumb, we got them just as their leaflets were about to be picked up by Royal Mail, and we just stole that out from those Royal Mail's feet. They just called, well, I've been on this call, and said to Martin, I think he called them, sorry, as a follow-up call at the end of the service. Really, really happy, had loads of responses, and they're definitely going to use this again next time. So
amazing stuff. Great work. Excited. Love that. And I love the idea of that sort of just phoning at the end and seeing how it went. Not enough businesses do that, actually. I really think you need to make sure you follow up. So yeah, amazing stuff. Julie Wedge, talk to me about your win of the week in a tough week.
Yeah. Can I just say, Andy, on a personal note, we have had to use services from a charity for end of life care. People, you have no idea what these carers do. You've just got no idea. Yeah, the ice bucket challenge. When it was my brother passed away, he wanted to do the ice bucket challenge, and he couldn't use the ice water. He couldn't. We were all chucking ice cubes at each other and being mad. He couldn't because it was too much. So his was heated. Yeah, the love and care and support. Do you know what? That's going to be my win of the week.
Love it.
Yeah,
absolutely love it. Thanks, Julie. Really, really, really good. Judy Bell, talk to me about your win of the week.
My win of the week it's not a personal one, actually. I took a week off to recharge my batteries and ended up getting involved in a course which was on 5 days a week, 8:30 till 5. So, but it looks like I submitted all my reports and my findings from it, and it looks like I've passed it, and I'm going to be getting my certification on the 27th of June.
Certification in what?
It's to do with mental health.
Amazing.
I'm chuffed to bits. I am so chuffed to bits, because it was just something I've been going on different webinars and that all for ages, and I just stumbled across this one, and they said that they were going to do like mental health coaching and things like that. And
you did the calls and bars there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, really important as well. So thank you for sharing that. It's really good. Andrew, oh no, Andrew's gone. He said he had to go, but I thought I might catch him before we got there. Ian, talk to me about your win of the week.
I don't know if you remember, Chris mentioned a while ago that I'll be doing a webinar with Sharon from Argus. They've just shared the visuals that we can put up on social media, and they are fabulous. So thanks to Sharon and Josh, they've done an absolutely fabulous job with the visuals for the webinar.
They're good. They're good professional partners, the guys at Argos. We've done some work with them, and they're really, really good. When's the webinar and what's it on?
It's on the 30th of June at 10:30. And it's basically about getting your business past the terrible twos. So if anyone has got any kind of teething problems that they're trying to work through, it's going to be a good one to tune into.
Love it. All right. Well, make sure you share the link, and I'll get Russ to share it in the group. Sam Strong, what's your win of the week?
I've finally got merch. I'm really excited. I've got my pens.
Oh, merch! That is exciting.
I feel like a proper grown-up business owner now.
You know what? I had a meeting this week. I get excited about the most ridiculous stuff. I had a meeting this week about some Havering Means Business merch that is coming soon. So keep an eye out for that. But I love my Savello pen as well.
I love the pen, but next is a mug. That's my next project. But I was going to do the pens, and then we went into lockdown.
Have you got a Savello notebook yet? Yeah.
I haven't. I have to.
Other notebooks are available, just not as good.
They're lovely.
Julie's holding up a Savello notebook. I love it.
I love it. I haven't got one yet. I feel very left out, but I wanted to get pens before we went into lockdown, because I used to go into people's homes and do will signings and always leave my pens behind, and I thought, well, I might as well make it work for me somehow. And then we went into lockdown and it all went online, and there was no point. But now I'm starting to do face-to-face. It felt like the right time. So I'm very excited.
Well, when we'll make sure that we get you a pen, Savello pen, and a Savello notebook sent through, or the next time you're in, I'll make sure that you can pick one up. How's that sound?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for that. Hannah, talk to me about your big win of the week.
Can I go with one that's a completely personal? It's got nothing to do with work.
Yeah. To do.
So to put it into context, I have a major phobia of needles, and I managed to be a proper grown-up, as my mother told me, and go along and get my COVID jab. And for the first time in probably about 4 or 5 years, I had a needle and I didn't pass out.
Love that. Getting the vaccine is a good win of the week. Did you react okay?
I've had what a lot of people had. So I, because of age and whatever, I had the Pfizer one, which I think less people have had reactions to. Had the normal sort of dull arm and whatever for the first few days, but yeah, generally, other than that, other than feeling tired, I think most nights I was in bed for the first couple of nights by 9 o'clock. That's not me.
I had an interesting reaction. I've got my second jab coming up at the end of July, but I had an interesting reaction to my first jab. That it was fine. Had it on the Sunday. It was absolutely fine. Sitting at my desk about 11 a.m. the following day on the Monday, and then just felt really, really tired. Went home, had a 3.5 hour power nap, and then no other reaction at all. So I'm thinking I need a few more jabs because I love a power nap, and it's a really good excuse to have a snooze.
Yeah.
What are we thinking?
Yeah, I like that.
Maybe I'll get 3 or 4. Thank you for that, and thank you for joining us on the community as well. You're more than welcome. Andy, talk to me about your win of the week.
Okay, this is going to sound cringe, but it's not, it's genuine. So as a representative of St Francis Hospice, we get some incredible support from a group called Havering Means Business. Don't take that lightly, because behind the scenes, I do get genuinely good support from this group. Chris knows what that is, okay? And my win of the week was that I got to share the work that I do with you guys. That's my win.
Andy, thank you very much, and we really appreciate you being part of our community as well. And yeah, just love it. Love the Friday afternoon positivity. So that's it for this meeting. We have got a special meeting next week with the MP for Hornchurch and Upminster. That's a 100% free meeting. Julia Lopez is coming along to answer our business questions, talk business, share stories of what's going well and what's not going so well. So if you are around next week at 1, I think Russ is the meeting next week, certainly come along to that. And that's it for today. I'm feeling good. England's going to win tonight. I'm off to the pub. Have a lovely day. And I'll see you in the community soon. Bye.
Bye, everyone.